Hello, and today we are breaking down my Western Dressage Level 2 Test 3 virtual competition ride. I did get 64.38% on this ride. Not a terrible score, but not a medal score, because in Western Dressage, I have to get 65% or above to have it count towards my silver medal. But that's okay. That just shows more room for improvement, and we are so close, but there is still a lot of things to work on. So we are going to watch my full competition ride while I give the scores and the comments for each individual movement. That way you can see kind of how judging scores and comments relate to classical dressage, and you can kind of see the difference. And also, one quick fact is this is a virtual show. So the clipboard is just so the judge knows what test I'm riding, who I am. At the end, it's like a TD check. They show my boots, everything, so everything is legal. I submit that to the judge once I film that test ride, whenever I feel like it's good. And then they get to be at home or wherever they may be, and they get to judge it while watching my video. In my personal opinion, it is a little bit more challenging when it comes to virtual shows, when it comes to trying to get really, really good scores, because the judge won't miss a thing. Because what they're allowed to do and totally can do is once they get that video of your ride, they can pause and rewind and watch a movement again if they want. So that way you get a really accurate score based on their knowledge, what they think, but the feedback is so worth it. And I highly, highly suggest doing virtual shows for that reason. They're also so much fun. You could do them at home. And remember, like always, like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get started on reviewing this test. I'm so excited to introduce Western Dressage as well. So let's see what my scores were. All right, so you see me warming up. I already showed the clipboard. She rings the bell here. I go into the arena. I really think about getting him into this corner because, as you can kind of see, he got a little fussy when I tried to pick up that canter and bring him back. So let's get started on watching this ride. Definitely overshot center line a little bit, and then we end up drifting kind of back on. So definitely could have worked on balancing him more in that corner. And on this movement, number one, with the halt, the entry, and me tracking left here up at C, I got a 6. The judge comment says, came imbalanced at start of halt, fairly straight on center line, which I agree. This movement, the shoulder in left, I also got a 6. Her comment says modest angle and bend. So this is the side I'm a little bit more careful on when it comes to riding Giorgio, because he does have arthritis in that right side of his neck. So I'm a little bit more cautious on that. This shoulder in right, we scored a 6 again. And she says, show clear angle and bend. Up here at A, at the halt, we also got a 6. Her comment says, halt was well placed, but not quite square. Mouth is open, willing, rein back and move off. So the backing up in the forward was good, but yeah, he definitely got tense and a little fussy. And then collected lope, right lead, and the circle up here at S, all got a 6.5. She says, could show better bend on the circle. That is one thing I noticed about Western Dressage, is they really like to see the bend. So just keep that in mind. You really got to show the bend. Over here on the other side, I should have really got him more in that corner. I totally cut that corner. And here as well. And that would have set me up way better for this shallow loop serpentine, because on this, we got a 6.5. She just says, could be better balanced over X, which I totally agree. He kind of got a little fussy again. And then at A, working walk. And then the free walk and the working walk. All my walk work here was scored as 1, and I got a 6. She says, mouth open, jog steps in transition, energetic steps in free walk with active stretch. So Free walk was good, but I definitely could have gotten him a little bit more relaxed. And that's where like corners get really important. You really want to use your corners. And in this ride, I kind of lacked on that. 8 before M is when I do my turn on the haunches to the left. You could do a pivot here. So they give you an option to do a pivot, which I did on this one. I didn't do a turn on the haunches. I decided to go with the pivot, and she gave me a 7. Fairly smooth turn. And then this one, I have to do a pivot again. So you can't do like turn on the haunches and then pivot. You have to do one or the other. So I did pivot on both, and I got a 6.5 on that second one. Just says I lost some energy, which I agree. And then over here at S, the collected lope and the circle again this direction, I got another 6.5. She says he could be a lot more active behind. So I definitely agree. Even though Western Dressage, you're allowed to be slower tempoed, like jog instead of trot and then lope instead of canter, he definitely seems a little too flat in my opinion, and really tense and kind of just not really in the tempo I would want. So that's something really I could have kept in mind. And then over here on this loop, I got a 6 again. She says, unbalanced and neck stiff over X, abrupt at C. So as we watch here, I did get better tempo, but yeah, he's definitely unbalanced. And then he just slams on the brakes. And so it was a little too big of a half haul on my end. And then right here, the lengthening of stride, we got 7. And she just says clear effort. So he does have a really nice lengthening trot. But again, in my opinion, he looks really flat. I could have really got him up more into my hand, pushed him forward. And then my last movement here, I got a 6.5 at this halt and down center line. And she says I was crooked in the halt. So that is my level 2 test 3. That was my first time ever riding that test, and I just decided to submit it and go with this test. I probably should have rode it a couple more times and filmed it and then submitted another one, but for the first time I was really happy with it. And this is where I do the whole check. They check the bit, check my boots for spurs if you have one, check the whip, all that. But while I showed that, so the gaits, I got a 6. She said his hind legs look stiff, especially in the lope. Impulsion was also a 6. Energetic, but could be more supple over top line. She gave my rider position, seat and hands a 7. And then a 6.5 for my rider aids, because I need to develop aids for more clarity of shoulder in, prep, and straightness of halts. And then our harmony score, which is huge in Western Dressage. They want to see the harmony between horse and rider. And I got a 7. So good score on that one. Final remarks is workman-like pair, continue to strengthen balance and engagement of hind legs, especially in the lope. Horse shows good obedience and effort. So he definitely was stiff, but overall, I'm actually really happy with how that first ride went, knowing that I kind of just winged it and then submitted it. But there's so much room for improvement. So I am going to go over my next virtual show. I'm going to ride that same test. Let's see what score I get on the next time I ride it. So if you want to tune into how I do the next time I ride this test for a virtual show, even though it's a different judge, tune in, subscribe, and check out that video when it comes out. It should be out in next week, is when I'm going to get all the commentary and the placings and all that back. So I'm super excited. I did, just to end this video, I did win the High Point Open Champion with that ride. Even though it was my best ride, we won the High Point Open Champion. So I'm super pleased with that. Still a good placing, not a medal score like I said, but lots of good feedback to work on. Let's see how I do this next time around in about a week. Tune in.